Live on a Tuesday night from Gen Red Pod Studios, as well as from Scott's Big Red Lair there on the other side of Lincoln. It's episode 116 of Generation Red. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, folks. We are the Kettle Corn of Husker Fan Podcast, where we try to be sweet, but at times we get salty. I am your host, Ken.
And I am your other host, Scott.
And of course, we are a very proud member of the Herd Sports Network, and we are in talks with them right now about getting a merch store online sometime here in the very near future. So if you have a hankering for Gen Red Pod merchandise, we will have some available. We think we will probably put some mugs, some sweatshirts, T-shirts, not trucker hats, but dad hats, and some stickers out there for y'all to buy. So as soon as that link goes live, we will let you know. Might put a poll out there on Twitter, so keep your eyes peeled for that as to what logo design we might use. Maybe we'll use the one at the top of the stream that you're watching tonight, or we may use the original Generation Red logo that we designed last year, or 2 years ago. So let us know. What do you think? Do you like the Gen Red Pod? Do you like the Generation Red? Do you want a combination of both? Or just maybe a selection between the two, which I'm sure they can accommodate, because Husker Army Podcast has I think you've probably seen it, Scott, but they've got a bunch of stuff up there, a bunch of different options, including 2 different logos, HAP for Husker Army Podcast, and then, of course, their full new logo that they put out this year. So I'm thinking if we give people options, that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, gives people, that it can tickle their style.
Yeah.
I'm very particular about my logos. I like more minimalist.
Yeah.
But some people like full descriptive logos. So
sure.
Gives people an option.
Yeah, I kind of like the minimalist look I put up there for the stream tonight. I think it looks really clean, really slick. Certainly a lot simpler to look at, not as distracting in the background maybe than our full logo that would normally be up there. But we're here to cover, of course, the Illinois game and also preview Purdue, folks. But before we do that, there were a couple of items of news that came out this week. Number one, that Brett Maher, who has been with the program, as what I understand from reading into some of Rule's comments, he's been with the program for a while, consulting on special teams. My guess is especially with kickers, but now he was actually officially made a part of the staff where he's really an on-the-field guy that's really going to help work with Alvano and company on getting the kicking sorted. I'm not sure if Alvano was unavailable because of injury on Friday night or just unavailable because, nope, you've missed too many in practice. I don't know, but hope the kid is okay. Don't ever wish him ill. But that was rough, knowing that the guy running out on the field was probably going to hook it. And sure enough, that's what happened. Some of it was probably the hold. I mean, the laces were kind of facing a wonky way, and that tends to mess with ball flight, from what I understand. And then the other interesting news item is the fact that Dylan's younger brother, and it's not new to anybody watching, I'm sure, but Dayton Raiola did commit to the Huskers this past weekend, I believe on Sunday or Monday, one of the two. So that's great that we got another Raiola in the fold. Here's hoping that right as we get these guys in the program, that we get some great offensive linemen around them, open some holes from some running backs in the near future so that we're not depending on their arms so much for wins. But that's the latest Husker news. I don't know if you had any thoughts on any of that, Scott, but go ahead.
Well, I don't know if it's picking up on the stream or if you guys can hear it in the audio recording podcast. I've got a dog who is very upset that my wife decided she was going to go on a walk without him.
Yeah.
So if you hear a sad sack of dog, that would be my dog who is upset with the world.
Well,
right
I can hear him. Tom is not happy.
No,
Tom is making plenty of racket. I'm really hoping that the audio program, I'll watch the audio through later on tonight, will be able to pull some of that out.
Yeah, but now that I've said words, he realizes that I'm still here, and now he's even more upset. So we'll see how this goes. I might just need to go shut the door, but then he might start barking, which would make it worse. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, no, I think it's, well, I don't even know. I'm kind of torn. Like, it's good that we've got help coming in on special teams, especially with a tried and true career kicker like Brett Maher.
Sure.
Um, it's also kind of like, I think I texted this to you. It seems kind of like a Hail Mary where it's like, gosh, we don't know what we're doing on special teams, or not that they don't know what they're doing, but we don't know what to do. So we need to bring
Yeah.
another guy in here, somebody who can, if anything, if I were to say is a positive, is that it brings tried and true experience. Somebody who's been under the lights, somebody who's
Mm-hmm.
high pressure situations, has been in the league for years, and can maybe just coach the between the ears problems that might be
Yeah.
going on. Fundamentally, I don't know if there's some serious fundamentals that are being missed. I wouldn't imagine so with I'm immediately blanking on his name. Ed Foley.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that with him it could possibly be fundamentals. I really think it's just between the ears.
I do
Um,
too.
and so if you can bring somebody in who can bring a mental edge or at least mental comfort in solitude, like that's what we need. Um, and then as for Dayton Raiola, that was basically, I don't want to say it was expected, but it basically was. It was expected to, from what I've heard from analysts, is that
Mm-hmm.
he was basically even more sold on committing to Nebraska, even more so than his brother was. He just fell in love with
Yeah.
Nebraska, and couldn't wait to commit. And all he needed was a green light from our staff that they were going to go all in on him, essentially. And as soon as he basically got that word from our staff, he went ahead and committed, even with only 4 total offers, 4 total offers.
Right.
He has very minimal game film. He's basically been riding the bench for his freshman and sophomore years, and this year he is really getting his first chance to play. And from what I've heard is he has got a lot of developmental potential. He's not like his brother. He's not just this lights out, has the touch, has been playing
Right.
since been a starter since the beginning of time. Um, but he's got great developmental potential, is what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Or is basically what I've understood about him. And
Yeah.
it's great that we can get a family, kind of almost like a family tradition, having 2
Mm-hmm.
generations worth of Raiolas in the program, to where, I mean, if Danny Kalen and I'm blank, TJ Lateef. TJ
TJ
Lateef.
Lateef. Yep.
You've got these guys, they're going to be in the program longer than he will be. And so there's a potential he could sit and have to wait his turn until his junior or senior year, but that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Um,
Me too.
and that gives the reason why I'm okay with that is because I love the idea of whatever the Dylan Raiola legacy is left behind, to give a little bit of a gap between one Raiola to the next, I think will pay dividends. Because the expectations, let's say Dylan has an outstanding career here at Nebraska,
Mm-hmm.
goes to the draft his junior year, and now what? Like, do you have your left-handed younger brother show up? And if he's even remotely a step back, I love our fan base and everything, but my goodness, sometimes we get a little bit too visceral when it comes to our critiques. So giving him a little bit of a cushion of like, okay, we have Danny Kalen play his senior year, then we have TJ Lateef play his senior year. This is assuming nobody transfers out. I'm going to get too into the weeds here. I can't predict any of that, but I think it's just good. I think it's good, the timing of everything. I hope
Mm-hmm.
he can develop. I mean, he's got a great cannon of an arm. I've watched videos of him throwing the ball. He can sling it.
It's got
So
a nice throwing motion too. Very smooth.
yes.
Kind of like his brother. Very smooth release.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's good. It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Good stuff. Good stuff. At this point, he's rated as a 3-star. I have a feeling playing in Buford as he continues to develop that'll probably, he'll elevate his level of play as well. So, well, we've put it off. We've put it off now for 10 minutes. The Illinois reaction. So, what we're going to do, folks, is the same that we've done the last couple of weeks. We're just going to give kind of our overall impressions. We each have a few, and then we'll give our main takeaway as kind of the second to last thing we do. And then we've got a game MVP that we both have decided on. So to kick this off, I would just give you my quick overall. There's a lot of stuff written there. But for those of you who are listening, thank you. We appreciate you listening and downloading the show. For those of you watching, make sure you participate in that live chat or leave us a comment if you watch us after the fact. We appreciate any interaction that we get. Helps us understand what you guys need to see from the show. So, first of all, my overall impressions are the fact that it was a hard-fought physical game. Both teams were popping pads quite a bit. The penalty disparity was disturbing for me, and I'm not going to necessarily comment on the refs. Heard plenty of that already over the last few days listening to podcasts. I don't think anybody needs to hear any more about what those of us who were watching the game thought of the ref stuff. I mean, it was just a disparity. Bad discipline on the part of the defense. 5 of the first downs of the 25 first downs that Illinois got on Friday night were as a result of a penalty. So you take away those 5 first downs for penalty and they're dead even, 20 first downs apiece. And there's a really, really good chance, if I remember right, a couple of those penalties led directly to scores. So Nebraska was penalized 9 times for 89 yards, Illinois 3 for 20. The defense on 3rd and 4th down was hard to watch because you'd get fired up. The crowd was going absolutely bonkers on every 3rd and every 4th down. And my sense was, I don't care how long it is. They're probably going to figure out how to pick it up. So Nebraska was pretty good on 1st down on Friday night. It was 2nd and 3rd down that they really struggled. Illinois was 7 of 13 on 3rd down for a 54% conversion rate and 66% on 2 for 3 on 4th down. The other main impression I had was obvious. Dylan Raiola is just a different quarterback. He's different than anything we've ever seen or anyone we've ever seen play in Memorial Stadium with the N on their helmet. There's a few guys that have come in here and played like Dylan, but even then, this guy's just next level. And it was so much fun watching him play until the end. Got a little careless with the ball. But when you've got 6 guys in your face over the course of the last 3 plays in overtime, it's a little difficult not to try not to get killed. So Illinois was special teams. I can't emphasize enough how much I think it's a good thing that Brett Maher is working with the kickers because there's a good chance Nebraska wins that game if Hull puts that thing through the uprights. The kickoffs were inconsistent. I think they want that, from what I've been hearing, is that they want the kickoffs to go to about the 2 or 3 yard line because they like the idea of stopping them short of the 25 as opposed to giving the other team the 25. I don't know. I'm kind of like, nah, I'd rather kick it through the end zone, not risk a return. Coverage units gave up 119 yards on Friday night, 59 on kickoffs and 60 on punts. That was hard to watch. Missed game-winning field goal, of course. Buschini averaged 50 yards a punt, but one of them was kicked to the wrong side of the field and led to a big return out to the 43-yard line. I believe Illinois scored on that possession as well. So it leaves me with a question. I know there's people out there that I talk with on the daily, most notably Coach B.A., who's not a fan of letting a coach go after only 1 year. But I haven't seen any difference in the special teams this year versus last year. You would think there'd be a jump. Logic would dictate, hey, 2nd year working under the same coach, you should see an improvement. Buschini's been the one bright spot. The one. That's it. And we had 26 yards of returns. That was it. But that was on kickoff. Basically, IGC was a little more athletic version of Santino Panico from the 2004 season when Bill Callahan literally recruited him because he wouldn't fumble the ball on returns. So we went from Frank Solich, where if you didn't return something, even with the dude in your face, you had to talk to coach about it to, just fair catch it. We're going to be good. My offense will score. So anyway, I hate to go down that rabbit trail, but those were my overall impressions. Scott, I don't know. Do you want to get just right into yours, or was there anything out of mine that kind of stuck out to you that you'd like to expand on further?
Well, most of the things that I could expand on are just kind of following along with my points, so I can just roll into them.
Okay, there's yours.
It just from this is my eye test. I was in the stadium. We had great seats. The first half was kind of back and forth. I would still give the edge to Illinois. It seemed like they were playing with an intent and an idea within a schematic, and it looked more like Nebraska was just trying to get by. And so it felt kind of like a facade that we were winning going into halftime, because it didn't look like winning football. It looked like getting by football. So it was great that we were up 17-10, and I was holding on to this hope that we were going to make some adjustments and our guys were going to be like, all right, guys, this is it. We got exposed last week. We've struggled in a lot of ways. We haven't played a full game of football. So let's come out and play explosive. Let's get off our blocks. Let's just do what we can do best, which is just play sound and fundamental football. And with this new quarterback we have, maybe we can do that on both sides of the ball. And so I was living on a prayer of that. And when the second half came around, like, I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't cheer for anything. I didn't get overly excited. Like, I just knew what I was seeing on the field from the first few drives. I was like, we're playing losing football. Illinois has got us schemed up. They can now, because I had this feeling. I was like, oh, look on the board. We've only held them to 60 rushing yards or something like that. But I kind of assumed that at that point was on purpose, that they weren't running. They weren't running intentionally. They were intentionally not running the ball because they knew that we were going to make adjustments to their passing game, because it had been basically successful. It just didn't result in points. And so we were going to make some adjustments, and I don't know if we did, because what I was witnessing on the field didn't look like an adjustment. It just basically looked like the same thing we were doing. And then they just threw in more running plays and were able to just beat us with complementary football. And then we basically were held to one-dimensional football. We had to rely on Dylan Raiola because our offensive line wasn't able to make any holes. All of our decent chunk run plays were always cut to the outside. And the third down conversions, even though it was only a 50%, 53% third down conversion rate for Illinois, and I think ours was even a little bit better than that technically. You're right, Dad. Like, it just seemed like when we were on third, like when they were going for a third down, it just like, we're not gonna stop them. And we didn't get one single 3 and out. We had none. It was always further down the possessions or just straight turnovers that gave us the ball back. It just, from what I witnessed, it looked like Illinois was just the better football team out there, and we were just getting lucky. Well, I want to say lucky. We have a 5-star quarterback who can make things work. And we had Isaiah Nair, who made impressive catches. There was a few things that, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20 when it's 3rd and 3 and you're 25, 30 yards away from the end zone. I know everybody was they've got their pitchforks and their torches, and they're like, why did we try and pass it on 3rd and 3? We should have just ran it. It's like the running game that hadn't worked all game. And then that, like, what's his name? Lindenmeyer.
Yeah.
Who was? Yeah, he was open. If Raiola puts a little less oomph on it, nobody's complaining about that.
Nope.
He was wide open. And so there was just things that we just didn't seem to have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Not momentum. It's such a common term used in football. Like we weren't in a groove. We didn't have a groove. We weren't like, it just seemed like we were playing on our heels all game. Where it seemed like from my perspective, it looked like Illinois knew exactly what they were doing. They had a scheme, they had a game plan, they knew our weaknesses, and it was like witnessing a ballet. Like they
Mhm.
were dancing beautifully. They knew exactly how to use the RPOs. They knew exactly how to use all of our weaknesses against us, and we never adjusted to it. How
Yeah.
many of those rollout RPOs burned us? All of them. Like
Yeah.
3 of their touchdowns were a variant of that run pass option. It was so strange. It was like, when are we going to stop this? And so it just looked like they were playing winning football and we were just playing on our heels.
Mhm.
And I would say that one of my biggest criticisms of our offense so far, with Dylan Raiola performing as well as he is how half-assed our wide receiver core has looked this year so far. I've watched a few videos. I would shout out the guy, but I can't remember what his name is. He just does film breakdown. He has no affiliation in Nebraska. He just likes breaking down film. Was a quarterback, D1 quarterback, and works as a coach, analyst or something. Anyway, and he reviewed Nebraska the first 2 games we played. And he said he's not impressed with our wide receiver core. And he broke it down exactly why. He's like, look in this route. Look at this route. Look at this guy. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who this Jamal Banks guy is, but he's kind of being lazy here. If he's supposedly this high touted recruit with this explosive speed and this explosive height, and he looks physical and he weighs like 225 pounds, what is he doing there? That's not a scheme. That's him being lazy. And and he's just breaking down play after play. Look at this. Your wide receivers suck. Look at this. Your wide receivers suck. And I was kind of offended. I was like, because the first video was UTEP. I was like, no, it's just the first game. They're just kind of getting into the groove. But we're now 4 games in, and I'm
Mhm.
still seeing it. I was paying close attention to it in the game, and I was very frustrated with the amount of effort that our wide receivers were giving, or lack thereof.
Mm.
I think Dylan Raiola would be having a lot better of a time if our guys would just do their damn jobs. And I
Yeah.
don't know, is that a Garrett McGuire thing? Is that the result of hiring a 20, or I guess he would have been 24 when we hired him. He's now 25 years old. Is that a lack of experience and a lack of respect that his players have for him? Is it something he's not
Yeah.
teaching? Because he's got a bunch of senior guys around him that can coach in tandem with him. So I
Mhm.
don't know what the deal is with our wide receivers, but damn, it's a dang shame because we've got such a prolific quarterback. If we just had a guy that could consistently do the things that we're seeing, when we see these explosive plays that Isaiah Nair is doing, which is so far, I mean, if I'm thinking of explosive plays, I think of Ja'Cory Barney and I think of Isaiah Nair on our wide receiver core.
Right.
Jamal Banks has done some consistent, or not consistent, but reliable things. The other guys have done some reliable things, but they're not performing consistently, and that's what's frustrating me. Isaiah Nair, I think, is probably our most consistent wide receiver. You
Mhm.
can't blame Ja'Cory Barney. He's a freshman, and he weighs like
Buck
5 pounds.
48.
Yeah, he's a dinky guy. So I can't really rag on him that much. But I'm really disappointed in Jamal Banks. We're a third of the way through our season, and I have yet to see this explosive all conference player that I didn't understand what people were seeing before the season. And then everybody was like, Jamal Banks, Jamal Banks. He's gonna be the greatest thing. And it's been 4 games and he's basically been crickets. And so that's so far my biggest criticism on the wide receiver, or on the offense, is our wide receivers core. they've got to step it up. They've got to
Yeah.
throw Dylan a bone. And then our defense, man. What can I say? They look exposed right now. It seems like the last year, maybe my observation was correct that based on what I saw last year versus the stat lines were two different things. Yes, statistically, we had a really good offense last year, but what I saw last year didn't look like a dominant, consistent, like alpha male, like crazy defense. It just seemed like a defense that was getting lucky a lot, and we were scheming up things and playing smart defense. And all the way leading up to the season, I had this feeling that our defense was going to take a huge step back, not a big step back, a huge one, because the Big Ten had a year to adjust to us. And we had, where we have four new guys, four new programs in from the Pac-12, high flying, high explosive offenses. Well, at least 2.5 of them, allegedly, whatever. I just had this feeling. I had this feeling that our defense was going to get exposed this year. And then I bought into all the hype leading up to the preseason of like, no, this defense is going to be even better. And here's why. And people made some pretty compelling arguments. And so I'm not saying like I'm this genius who just knows all this stuff. I don't. I literally don't know anything. But what I did know was that this team, if we were put up against a scheme that understood the fundamental weaknesses of the 3-3-5, and we couldn't figure out how to adjust to it, we were going to be in big doo-doo. And Brett Bielema did a really good job at proving my assumption. So the question now is, can we adjust back? Is there something that Tony White has up his sleeve where he's like, okay, here's what we need to do. Here is the health potion we need to revive this defense and at least be serviceable. Because at this point, if Illinois was able to do what they did to us, we are in big trouble. Because I mean, they didn't do much different than Northern Iowa did. They were basically just a more talented team that was able to perform it at a higher level. So we had a whole week to fix those holes, to plug those holes in our sinking defensive ship, and we didn't. So it's like, oh boy, what do we got going up here with Purdue? That kind of worries me. But you know what? I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to say that I think Tony White can fix it. Okay, I know I'm sounding like the Titanic is sinking. It's inevitable. Sell your stocks while you can. No, I think Tony White can fix these things. I just think that we kind of got caught with our pants down, and I think our guys I think they got stuck in their heads a little bit. They spend a lot of time looking at each other when a play would get blown up. They're just looking at each other like, was that your assignment? Was that my assignment? Whose assignment was that? And it's like,
good point. Good point. Coach BA had talked specifically about an assignment that was probably missed in one of his BA breakdown videos later. So that's a good point. What you're seeing is exactly what I saw too. And I agree with you. I think Bielema is one of those coaches. He's been in the Big Ten for a long dang time. He spent a lot of years in Wisconsin. He seems to be the boil on the butt of Nebraska football. It's not a thorn in our side anymore. Now he's a boil in our butt, and it hurts every time we sit down to try to figure out what to do to beat this guy, right? Which is like the weirdest freaking analogy ever. But he's just figured out what to do to beat us. And he's been doing it now for 4 years. At Illinois, he lost his defensive coordinator from his first 2 years, who's now the head coach at Purdue. If you look at their defense, it's not too bad against the pass. It's actually pretty dang good against the pass, which is our strength. So that's going to make for an interesting game come Saturday. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the defense got exposed near as much as they just played undisciplined. There's a lot of guys I've heard today, specifically guys that played defense and understand the 3-3-5 somewhat way more than I would because they've played the game, said something to the effect that Illinois knows that what White likes to do is get upfield quick, get in the upfield, get in the backfield, make the offense uncomfortable. Well, how you battle that is you run a lot of misdirection. You make the defense think they got to come one way to stop you, but you're going the other. And like that first play in the first overtime, that was a complete missed assignment. Nobody was on that side of the field because they set something up. They schemed it.
They put a 325-pound lineman as a pseudo tight end. They were just scheming up some things. And then to give credit where credit is due, I'm giving a lot of credit, but I'm going to give more. The transition or the transformation from 2023 Luke Altmaier to 2024.
Incredible player. Yep.
An incredible player. He played with such high IQ, such great eye discipline. That was the other thing I had noticed was he'd be looking one direction, would pump fake, and would completely throw off whatever linebacker was giving him pressure, and then would just throw it a completely other different direction. Like just playing smart football. Didn't throw any interceptions. He fumbled. Was he the fumble? Was that somebody else?
Yeah. He got sacked, fumble. Yep.
Yeah. So other than that, there really wasn't a mistake that you could find that he made.
Right.
He played an absolute.
And even that wasn't really a mistake. He just got hit from behind and the ball ripped out. So
so he's composed.
He was extremely composed, highly intelligent young man. He transferred in from Ole Miss, so he was also one that was coached by Lane Kiffin, who knows how to coach quarterbacks. He just had a rough first year, adjusted to what the Big Ten was doing to him, and I'm curious to see what he does when they go into Penn State on Saturday as an 18-point underdog. They know they can win in a hostile environment now.
And I think it'll be a lot closer than 18.
It's going to be way closer than 18 points.
I think
have
it'll
no
probably
doubt
be a
that
7 to 10 point game.
Penn State's going to get punched in the mouth for about 2.5 quarters, and they'll probably figure out what to do to punch back, but because they're just that talented. But anyway,
to summarize, my overall thoughts are our offense. Our wide receivers need to do better. Our defense needs to fill these holes. They needed to plug up these holes in the sinking ship of this Tony White defense. And I mean, we just need to realize that we are not invincible. And as I sat there and thought about it, I did mean to put this in my notes. As I've kind of had my days to mourn, I did think about it. I'm like, you know what? If we were going to lose a game, let's lose this one, actually. When we're ranked, everything was stacked in our favor, and we just needed to be brought down to planet Earth. I understand that in past, the Frost era and the Riley era, whatever, if there was a stat line that was favoring Nebraska in every way, shape, or form, we would lose, and that felt just so disheartening. It's the stat curse. Anytime I'm watching TV and they're like, hey, it's been 13 games since this person or it's been 13 games in a row where this person has done this. Well, now that you've announced it, it's not going to happen, buddy. But anyway, being ranked was fun. I loved that. Playing a ranked game was fun. It felt like, oh my gosh, are we going to beat our 26-game losing streak against ranked opponents?
Nope.
No, and go back to the drawing board a little bit. I think that for the end of season going into November, I think that getting beat now by a ranked team feels a lot better than if we dropped one off to, let's say, if we do lose against Purdue or we were going to lose against Purdue. I feel like that would sting a little bit more. Or if we go undefeated all the way up until Ohio State.
And get smoked.
Then we get smoked. And then we lose the next week. And then we lose the next week. And you just start to spiral. Maybe I'm just justifying it or coping. I'm coping too hard. But if we were going to lose, let's lose against a ranked opponent. That's fine with me. But let's go win the games we're supposed to win.
Yeah, yeah, I'm here. I'm with you. Learning how to win is difficult, and I've heard a lot of people's takes that we've got a bunch of losing mentality on the team. All these guys that were holdovers from Frost, they never knew how to win before. So why should we try to figure out how to win with them now? Let's just move on, get the youth in there. These guys that don't care, like for example, Dylan, he played his butt off. He didn't care how important the game was, that it was the 400th sellout. He plays with an exuberance and a joy, and quite frankly, he's relaxed. He looks like he knows he belongs out there. And I think it's good for the older guys to be around a kid like that. And I think it's going to rub off eventually. It just didn't on Friday night. So let's move on to our main takeaways from the game. Mine
Yep.
is the line of scrimmage, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but the time of possession was mostly even, though Nebraska held a 19 minutes of possession time in the first half to Illinois' 11, and then that flip flopped in the second half because, like you said, they changed up their strategy a little bit, started running the ball a little bit more. Um, so the time of possession was almost identical. The Illini offense, as you pointed out earlier in your overview, they were very much more efficient. 168 yards on the ground, 215 yards through the air. Altmaier took care of the football other than getting sacked from behind and having the ball knocked away from him. He didn't put it in danger ever. In fact, those 4 touchdown passes he threw, not a single one of them was contested. None. They were wide open versus Nebraska, who's, like you said about the wide receivers, even when they try hard, they're not getting much dang separation. They're having to fight for a lot of these catches. So,
Where's these wide open
yeah,
explosive plays, man?
we need them. Please bring us something wide open, Lord, please. And then the offensive line struggled in the run game and in pass pro toward the end. We only had a grand total of 48 yards rushing. We would have been exactly at 100 if not for 52 yards in sacks, which for me should count against passing stats, but there's a lot of things I don't understand about football and how they track things. Like, for example, how is it that a running back can be running with the football dive over the goal line? And as long as he's in the air with possession of the ball when he crosses the plane, it's a touchdown. But if he loses the ball after he crosses the plane and it fumbles out of the back of the end zone, still a touchdown. But a wide receiver catches the ball, crosses the plane with the ball in his possession in midair, but he doesn't complete the catch all the way to the ground. The other guy takes it, son of a gun. It's an interception. Now, I've seen the replays. I know Nayor didn't really have possession of the ball, but if you
And did
freeze
for
it,
like a split second.
yep, when he had his hand up like this, there it
Like,
is.
could we
Crossing the plane.
at least get 15 consecutive frames, of him
Yeah.
holding it? Like, then I would be a little bit more upset. Yeah, I don't buy
Yeah.
into the
So,
it was
and
a
then, yeah,
touchdown.
late, the defensive line absolutely struggled to stop the run late. So for me, it
Yeah.
was line of scrimmage was my main takeaway, that it needs some work. And I'm willing to give the offensive line somewhat of a pass on the fact that Turner Corcoran was out, but popped up a hamstring. He's likely out for a while. So Gunnar Gatula, however the heck you say his name, is probably going to be the guy at left tackle now. And Micah Mazuka, figure your stuff out, dude. You're the best offensive lineman on this team, and you being out on Friday hurt us, especially in the run game, because
Yeah, it's
that's the
crazy how it's crazy how we had holes for the first 2
yeah.
games on that left side of
So,
the, line of scrimmage,
yep.
and
Now
now
we
we
don't.
don't. It's weird.
Yeah, funny how
Huh.
that happens. So anyway, those are my takeaways, the line of scrimmage, and yours are.
I mean, I already kinda said it, got ahead of myself earlier. Illinois just played and coached
Yep.
better. They just looked like the better team. They played a better game, just all around. They were the winning team. If we would have won, I mean, it would have felt really good, don't get me wrong, but it also would have been one of those, like, I think we got lucky. I think we finally have the luck flipping on our side because we shouldn't have won that game based on how they played. Um, they were just a better team, and I thought it was actually a miracle that it was as close as it was. I really was just waiting on it to just like
Unravel.
around the middle of the third quarter going into the fourth quarter. I was just expecting Illinois to just start pulling away. Um,
Yeah.
but to our team's credit, to our team's credit, they managed to squeeze a little bit more out of them that they could, and it was a close game, and we went into overtime, and we gave. I don't know if we gave up, if we were gassed. I think it was a combination of both. Being gassed is generally going to encourage giving up, but I would just say, like, maybe I'm just speaking to the ether here, and I'm reaching out to the sour, salty Husker fans that act like we were going to win every game this year. Like, what kind of loss would you prefer, Husker fans?
Yeah.
Like, if we're losing, it's because something is not going right in some regard. Like, I don't get this, like, I can't believe we lost like that. And it's like, how would you prefer to lose?
Have you not seen the last 5 years? We always lose like that.
Or what other ways are there to lose? Like,
Right.
like when I watch a team lose, they lose because of things. Like, and these are those things.
Yeah.
If your offensive line isn't holding up, you're gonna lose that battle. If you're not converting on third down, if you're not making field goals, if you're screwing up on special teams, if you're not disciplined and you're getting unwarranted flags, when you know for a damn fact that the refs suck, you got to start playing a little bit cleaner of a game. You can't get away with patty cakes. But
no doubt.
Like, how would you prefer to lose, Husker Nation? Like, I don't like losing. It sucks. It's not fun. We've had plenty of it. We've had our fair share of it. But like,
if I could provide maybe just a little positivity toward what you're saying, and I say this from the standpoint of, with all the mistakes, with all the things Nebraska did not do right on Friday night, with all the ways that it seemed like they were hanging on by the skin of their teeth, they actually led for most of the game. And they were one pass just a little bit beyond a dude's fingertips away from having a 7-point lead with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And we would have found out, can this black shirt defense hold a lead of 7 points? Chances are they were. Illinois did not do much after that, after we missed the field goal. If anything, I think what broke the team Friday night was at the very end, when Hull missed the field goal. And that defense went out there. They did what they could to stop them for 3 minutes, but then we get to overtime, and it was like, here we go again. You know what I mean? So that's the positivity I'd put out there, is the fact that as badly as we played at times, as many mistakes, as many lack of discipline mistakes as we saw on that defense, if they cleaned that up, Nebraska wins that game by 2 scores. If Nair pulls that ball in and doesn't let it slip down and let the defensive back grab it, we're up by 2 scores in the third quarter. So you get up by 2 scores in the Big Ten with that defense, especially since Tony White tends to play fairly aggressive if he doesn't have much of a lead. But once he gets a real lead, then he really starts coming after people and gets a little more crazy. So I don't know. I tend to think that this was not a complete domination on the part of Illinois as much as Nebraska dominated itself. It just did not figure out how to win. So our MVP, real quick before we move on to Purdue here, we both picked Isaiah Nayor. I really wanted to go back and think about doing Dylan Raiola, but that's the easy pick. For me, this is the guy that, without some really killer catches he made on those touchdowns, 4 receptions, 90 yards. Would like to see him be a little better as a perimeter blocker. There were a couple of runs that could have popped had he been able to hold a block or two a few seconds longer. But there you go. Game MVP, Isaiah Nayor.
Indeed. Yeah, he's by far the standout wide receiver. I figured he was going to be number 1 or number 2 this year. And so far we've just kind of seen what I expected to see. And I just hope that other guys can start to get their poop in a group. And I mean, shoot,
sure.
dude, what I want to see, I want to see what we saw last year with I'm blanking on his name. Why do I want to say Jalen Waddle? It's not Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Lloyd.
Jalen Lloyd. where is the one guy who's just running up the seam and is just wide open? Like, I mean, I guess we did have a few of them that were overthrown or were
Yeah.
thrown out of bounds or whatever. But
Well,
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the guy who's just 20 yards away from the nearest defender, and he just drops it right in his breadbasket, and it's just walking to the end zone. Like, I just want to see that. Like, give me that.
I
just want to.
don't know. I honestly don't know if we're going to see that. I think everybody's pretty wise to the fact that there's a couple of Jalen Lloyds on this team.
Yeah.
Jalen himself and Ja'Cory. I don't think you're going to see those guys streaking wide open down the field unless we figure out how to run the football enough that we can run that play action that gets those guys that open.
Sure would be nice, but we can't have nice things, Dad.
But we can't. We're not allowed to have nice things. And yes, BA, you are correct. The overtime situation was the biggest debacle to me. It bothers me. Well, BA, you've been around long enough to know that Nebraska has really sucked in overtime since 2014.
It's a curse, man.
We got
to bring Bo Pelini onto the field.
That's what we need. We need more Bo. Need more Bo.
How do we do it? We need to have him be at the coin flip to yell at the refs. Just one last time.
Just one more.
Just one last time.
One more. Throw his hat in their face and almost hit them with it. Yeah, that'd
You
be
call
great.
that heads?
Yeah.
That doesn't look like heads to me. It's like literally heads, but like he has to be angry. But
yeah, exactly. All right, so let's flip the page. Let's talk about Purdue for a few more minutes, and then we'll get out of here because, we both have a life to live on a Tuesday night. So Purdue is 2-1 or 1-2. I think they've only won one. They've only had 3 games. They just lost on Saturday night to Oregon State in Corvallis, 38-21. They have not been good. Very good this year, really. I mean, 6-7 to Notre Dame in your house. Whew. And then Notre Dame didn't exactly look like world beaters in their next game. So college football is a funny thing. But
weird.
Here's the stat comparisons for both teams. I'm not going to read everything off, folks. I've done that before, even though our audio listeners would probably appreciate that. If you want, get to the 47-minute mark on the live stream, and you'll be able to see the slide where I've got all the stats. I'll just point out some overarching ones. Scoring offense, 31.5 points per game is what Nebraska is scoring, whereas Purdue is scoring 25.7. They're averaging 183 yards on the ground, whereas Nebraska is averaging 140. We've been throwing for 262 almost per game, and they're only throwing for 172. So Devin Maccabee's been having some pretty good games as a running back. Scoring defense is where kind of Nebraska's a little bit better. Even with the 31 points they give up on Saturday night or Friday night, they're still averaging giving up less than 13 points a game. And they're not very good defending the run over there in West Lafayette. So if there's a day or a game where Nebraska can fix its running game, it should be this week. They give up on the average 269 yards a game, which is 18th in the Big Ten, 132nd in the country. Damn it, Satterfield. Run the damn ball. And please, let Emmett Johnson eat once in a while. That'd be kind of cool. He's got a vision. He's got that ability to make an explosive play out of one that's not really there. Come on. Anyway, turnover margin, Nebraska is 9 better than Purdue. They're +4 on the year, whereas Purdue is -5. So Purdue's kind of headed down that path that we've been headed down last year. So there you go. Those are the stats. And,
I think the biggest standout is the difference between Purdue at number 18, dead last in the Big Ten of rushing yards allowed, is 807 in 3 games. And the next best comparison, who has also played 3 games that you can even look at, is USC at 490. That means that they're dead last by a mile.
Yeah, they are.
It's insane. It's
for a defensive-minded coach. It's weird.
It's almost screaming that we are not going to run the ball.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like,
stop it. No.
I hate to keep digging up the dead bodies of Nebraska past, but like, Does this not scream a game where just Satterfield is going to be like, I don't know how to run the ball? Like,
we'd seen that with Frost teams too. Like when I can't remember what team it was. Maybe it was Northwestern.
Yeah.
One of the years where they had an awful running defense, and we kept dropping Adrian back, had
Yeah,
snaps going
it was
over
like
his head, and it's like, what are
63%
we
passing
doing?
plays.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, he did run the ball. It's like, yeah, for one play, it went for 2 yards, and you were like,
Nope.
can't run the ball anymore. It only went for 2 yards. But no,
Yep.
I'm being facetious.
No, it's good.
I
But
think
that's been our MO though. Whatever their weakness is, we don't stick to it. We
yeah, and
should
their
have stuck
strength.
to it on Friday night because Illinois was number 14 in the Big Ten against the run. There's no reason to go away from the run.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
Nebraska held
Purdue,
the ball for damn near 10 minutes on their first scoring drive when they kicked that first field goal.
Purdue has
Where
got
was that?
they are the third best passing defense. So
Yep.
that's also screaming like, hey, maybe we just kind of lay off Dylan for a bit. Like
Yeah.
let's lather up our running backs. Like let's play a true Big Ten game. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what the score is right now. Like let's just play 4 quarters of smash mouth football
Mhm.
and just play it out. I don't know what I would tell them to do because I'm just an armchair coach here, but like run the ball a little bit more, let the play action pass open up, let Dylan do his thing. He's gonna rebound. That missed touchdown pass to Lindenmeyer is kept him up for a night, I'm sure. He's just replaying that over. Oh my gosh, if I would have just give it a little less, man, my arm is so good. It can be bad
Right.
sometimes. Like
Mhm.
this game is going to be weird. It's going to be weird because it doesn't matter what the stat lines say. In my opinion, I think this is a close game.
Okay. Well, I was going to do mine, but you go ahead. There's your score
So
prediction.
I've got Nebraska winning 28-21. It's hard for me to say that because if there's anything to show that Nebraska can curse itself, it's this game because I don't like it when we're playing an opponent who's in a losing streak because that doesn't tend to vote in our favor. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and if they're going to give their best game, it's going to be against Seoul, Nebraska. But I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be one of those games that there's some things that are cleaned up a bit, but maybe not great. It's just going to be an ugly game. I think it's going to be an ugly game. But there's just going to be some ways that are improved on defense specifically. I think our coverage schemes are going to improve. We're not going to have this run pass option opening up every touchdown drive. I just think that we're going to probably struggle a little bit on our offense. I think if we can't get Mazuka in there, please, for the love of God, we do. What are we going to do? As bad as they are against the run, like, do we really pose that much of a threat at this moment? Not until they prove it to me. I want them to prove it to me. Prove to me that you guys can do what you did against UTEP and Colorado. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a close game. We're going to need to win the turnover battle. I love how our turnover battle has looked this year. We haven't gone negative in any of our games yet. So that's good.
Every game we've been at least +1. Every game.
Every game. Keep that up. We got to keep that up. We can't afford to have this game be the game that we do that. It's in West Lafayette. That's going to just be tough. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy game. And yeah, like I said earlier, God, I hope we get better against the RPO because that was egregious.
Yeah, it was. I completely agree. So here's my score prediction. I'm a little more positive on this one. I think Nebraska wins by 2 scores. They perform well for the first time in this season in the second half, which was almost my main takeaway from the game on Friday, was that yet again Nebraska comes out of a game barely scoring anything in the second half for the fourth straight game. So I think, especially if we can get that running game going and you can wear them down going into the second half, God willing, maybe we'll have one of those Ja'Cory Barney or Jalen Lloyd long touchdown passes toward the end of the game because we've been running it on them so effectively. I think the defense will probably be a little leaky still. One of the things Rule mentioned was that we were trying to tackle the football instead of the ball carrier. I'm hoping they fix that crap tonight because there was an awful lot of yards after contact on Friday night. But the offense, like I said, will score late to put the game out of reach. But the fan base is still going to be left nervous going into Rutgers the following week. So there's my scoring prediction, 34-20 Nebraska. And just for the sake of argument, episode 106 flashback. There it is. My reality pick from our Rule Aid to Reality show was 28-24, and my Rule Aid pick was also 28-24. You were the same, 31-10. A little bit more positive, but it was both 31-10 for reality and 31-10 for Rule Aid. Interesting how both of our scores have changed. I've gone more positive, even though Illinois happened, and you've gone more negative because Illinois happened. But hey, I understand.
I have moved back. I have moved back to my more pessimistic realism perspective because it's like, okay, I drank the Kool-Aid. There are just some things. There are some things that I don't see as easy fixes that we need to clean up. And so what more of a perfect environment could you ask for that Nebraska's put up against the ropes again? Like, this is the perfect game. You're playing away. You're playing against a team that sucks in a lot of ways that we haven't been consistent at. And so the place where we could put, pressure on the throat, we haven't necessarily proven that we can. And dang it, like, I almost want this to be a close game. I want this to be a close game. I want it to be a game that we're put on our heels again, and we actually have to win it. And we do. Like, I know we've done that in the past. Like, the one game that sticks out to me is way back in 2019, the Lane McCallum squib field goal for the 13-10 win against Northwestern.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, we've had some close wins, but like, I think that this team will actually build from it this time. If we get a close win against an opponent that we overlook and they smash us in the mouth, because that's what Purdue's going to do this week, I guarantee it. They're going to give us a run for our money, and we're going to have to put up or shut up. I do agree with you, Dad, though. If anything, if there's any scenario that's just outside of what I'm thinking, a 28-21 victory, it's definitely that. It's like it's a close game, and then you think we play a solid second half, and we put a complete 4 quarters together, and we pull away for a two-score win. I'd love that.
Yep. That'd be great. Coach B.A. agrees. He doesn't want this one to be close either because Purdue is really bad. I'd rather win a dog fight with a team that's decent. I agree with you, Coach.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you.
It's not close. I have a feeling Scott might be more right than I am, but you never know. And then he said Colorado is better than Purdue after what I've seen from them the last 2 weeks, which, God, that Colorado-Baylor game was freaking classic. Oh, my God. Did you watch it? That was crazy.
I have to say this because I need to give credit where credit's due. I know everybody, when there's talk of Travis Hunter winning the Heisman, everybody laughs.
Dude's
and it's
badass.
Like, they're Colorado. They're going to only win like 5 games this year. It's like, I don't care. He is the best college football player right now. Like, I can't even think of another player that's doing what he's doing at the level that he's doing it. Like, I don't care. I don't care. There's tons of players, tons of the greatest NFL players of all time that played on like Marshall or played in, wherever they played on smaller football teams.
My goodness. You know what I forgot to do?
What's that?
I forgot to before we switch to Purdue. My apologies to Coach B.A. I had not put his breakdown videos up there yet.
Oh,
you want to go through those real quick? This is you start with the offensive play, and then we'll go to the defensive.
Sorry about
play.
that, Coach.
Yeah, sorry, Coach. But Coach,
I accidentally did that because I started to talk about Purdue and
no, you didn't. I just completely spaced it. But you can follow Coach BA at the BA Coaches Show on YouTube. He's a good dude, does great content, exactly like what you're about to see, which is taking a play from the offense and a play from the defense and telling you why it worked or didn't. And it's great stuff. He's got a lot of breakdowns on his channel, and you can listen to him on the radio live every Monday on 1620 to the Zone with Sharp and Hanley as they break down the past weekend's game. So make sure you check him out on that show as well. So
I'm including this play for a couple of reasons. I love this formationally, and I love the play design of this, but I'll be real, I'm including this just as kind of a gotcha for all the people that have kind of been trashing on Satterfield and just the way he's used Fedoni. Yeah, I didn't love the way we had been using Fedoni, but I didn't think that Satterfield just forgot how to use him. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm including this. Sorry that this is just kind of a, hey, told you guys. So listen to me more on the BA Coach Show if you want to hear about it. I'm going to point that out. But formationally, here's what I want to point out to you guys. This is what I call flex nub trips. That's just a term that I've had. Nub trips, all that means is we got our nub tight end here, so meaning no one lined up outside of him, and then we got trips to the other side. And I call it flex because he's flexed out. He's not hand in the dirt right next to the tackle, right? Flex nub trips. The reason I like this formationally is it puts the defense in kind of a bind where you have the run strength on one side and you got a trips passing strength on the other. And this is why this play works so good. If you want the truth, was because formationally, you'll see it. Obviously, all the passing focus is right here. So as this play kind of happens, you're going to see a huge gap in the defense because with all the dropping and all that, we've basically got 2 on 1, but we take advantage of this guy right here. This play design was beautiful. I think a potential read could have been right here because we have 2 inside routes and we got a corner going right off of that, right? Or not even a corner. I guess that ended up being more of a push. That's a push route, but that's okay. Illinois covers that very well, but we use our boy Fedoni, 3rd and 4. Oh my Lord. There we go. Sorry, sometimes this gets annoying, so you just have to bear with me there, but look at this. As soon as we realize this guy, he's sitting and dropping, right? Which is fine. A lot of teams do that. Sit and drop. But when he's barely moving his feet, and he's not moving laterally, he's moving up and down vertically. He's moving more north to south. He's not going to be able to really get there. So as soon as Fedoni's about to cross face, this is a brilliant strike. A brilliant strike from Dylan here. I love this play. I love the play design of this play. We're obviously, look, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders here. We're going to end up with 1, 2. I know we have another safety back, but he's just there for over the top. So I like this. We're taking advantage of it. That's formationally a very good job. I don't care what anybody says. I feel very strongly about this. The last 2 games, Satterfield has called a very beautiful game, and I stand by it. I'll play this, guys, in full speed. I love this play. Beautiful, baby. Beautiful.
Yeah, so there you have it.
Needle.
That was threading that needle. Yeah, that was brilliant throw by Dylan. For certain, from where we were sitting, it looked like there was an awful lot of defenders. He chucked that ball right over their heads. It was really well thrown. Yeah, we appreciate you as well, Coach. And now let's jump on to the defensive play. This one's not so happy.
All right, Generation Red fans, I will be real with you. Trying to find the defensive clip that I wanted to break down was hard because I couldn't find a ton of highlights, so I'm picking a low light. We're changing it up this week because I can't find anything positive. This play right here was the first touchdown of the game, as you can see, obviously. It was terrible pretty much all the way around, okay? First thing I noticed is that we got Isaac Gifford, our roving over here towards the tight end. Okay. They give us a little play action here, which of course this is one of the only times we're like set up to stop this, but You guys know, if you've watched my breakdowns here, you've watched it on my channel. What's something that I always like to point out, especially with linebackers and safeties? What do we got right here? This is supposed to be our help over the top. I feel pretty strongly in saying that. Obviously, I do not know the play call. That's why these film breakdowns can sometimes get difficult, okay? I don't know what the play call is. But as we can see, I think we're supposed to have help over the top. And our help over the top is just standing there. And then he realizes, oh, snap, and just wide open. But here's the detail of why I think we have help over the top. This is why I think that. I could be wrong, like I said, so don't take this as gospel, because I think this was very poor. Watch our corner here. I forgot which corner this is. I think it's Hartzog. No, it wasn't. I was wrong, but that's fine. Why, if we were supposed to have no help over the top, there's zero reason for him to go to this sideline. There is zero reason for him to cross face. There is unless the only reason why he would be doing that is if we were trying to bracket. And if we were trying to bracket, we're trying to take away the inside release right away. As soon as that becomes a vertical push, I don't know. I still just don't like it. I don't like this. I don't like this turn the hips and have to chase. I do not like that at all. This was not a good play, man. I got to be real. This was ugly. Because if we were trying to bracket, then maybe. Because he's got outside, and then we got our safety that's supposed to be helping inside vertical pushes. Because we got a linebacker here. We got our rover here. We got this side shut down pretty well. This side did pretty well, but this was a one read play, in my opinion. Just one read. It was ugly. It was ugly, my friends, and I hate to see it. I thought our safety play, DB play in general, but safety play for a lot of this game was atrocious, if I'm being real. I hate to say that. I hate to rag on anybody, but I have to call it like I see it. And this was atrocious. In my opinion, there's no reason that the play should be happening, and we are standing. We're standing. I think a lot of these things will be addressed in film breakdown this week. But again, even if it was a bracket, I do not like this. Your entire body facing towards the sideline, and you're having to switch your hips, because that's where the separation happens. I'll be real. DB is one of the positions that I haven't coached at a high level. I've coached it at like a middle school level, and obviously there's not a ton of passing going on. So I'll be real. I'm not the DB expert, right? I understand coverages. I understand a lot of the techniques because I've worked with some really good defensive guys. I'm not the DB expert, but I look at where the separation happens. As soon as we have to flip the hips, huge separation and no help over the top.
Well, there you go. As only Coach BA can do it, a breakdown of that first scoring play that happened right in front of us. God, what about those seats, dude? Literally right above the tunnel, like 18 rows up. It was freaking perfect place to view the game. I loved sitting where we were sitting, except for the result of the game. It was awesome. It was so loud, though. And I've never complained about the volume in the stadium before, but for some reason in that corner, and maybe it was just barometric pressure or something, but when it got really cranked up in there, I almost got lightheaded. It was the weirdest sensation. I don't know why. Your mom complained of kind of the same thing. So I don't know if maybe those seats are where we can sit in the near future, but it's weird complaining about it being too loud in Memorial, because that was one of my favorite memories of 2014 was that Miami game and having no voice.
Loud.
So
it was
really plenty loud on Friday for sure.
The
crowd was not the problem.
Which made me feel good because, yeah, after like the first half, I was like, if I keep seeing this, I'm not gonna participate. I'm just gonna sit and watch and idly and wait for something to happen. And I guess I did cheer for a few third downs, but like I said, I kind of became less of a fanatic and became more of an analyst.
Observer.
I was just analyzing, like, what's going on here? Why are we the way we are? But no, it was a great atmosphere. If only it just turned out better than it did, but
402
well.
Boneyard is in the house. Hey, good to see you, bud. Thanks for popping in here right toward the end. Apologize for that. We will be, just before we end things here, we will be doing this on Tuesday nights now. And as best as we can tell, 7 o'clock is going to work for us. So for future notice, throw it on your calendar. Whatever Generation Red will be 7 o'clock live on Tuesday nights. It just works better for our lives. Scott's a brand new dad, and as a small family, a young family who wants to be able to spend as much time with them as possible on his weekends off. And I kind of like having my Sundays. So this has been a lot more fun to prep for. Even though it was a loss, it just made it much easier to do the prep and view it from a less emotional point of view by just giving it a few days, listening to what other people have to say, and then re-examining what I thought of the game. And I still feel pretty much the same way as I did walking out of the stadium, which is it's not all over yet, but there's some stuff that needs some work. You're not back on Twitter yet, are you?
No, I did torture myself late Friday night when I got home and decided to just, okay, what does Twitter look like? I scrolled for about 10 minutes.
It was a cesspool.
Thoroughly entertained, I gotta say. It was kind of like dirty heroin. Like it was like, oh, this feels so good, but oh, it's gonna kill me. So I decided to put that away. But it was, I can only imagine it was a complete and total chaotic mess. It was like the Purge, but Nebraska edition. The sky is falling.
Yes, the sky is indeed falling.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
it's okay. I still think we win 8 games this year. I think we win 8 games.
I'm in that 7 to 9 range still. I really am. I still think it's possible. My Twitter has been less ranty lately, Scott. Ken always helps me feel less angry. Yeah, that's me. That's my job, Grasshopper, or Coach BA-san. We're supposed to help you woosah a little bit and just chill. Anyway, you can follow the show. You've seen the banners going along under the stream throughout the evening. You can follow us at Gen Red Pod on Facebook, Twix, and YouTube. Subscribe to Generation Red on your favorite podcast app to listen to the audio version of this live stream and all previous live streams, plus all of our first shows that we did in 2021 before we were on YouTube. You can go back and catch those as well. Also, please pop out of the chat real quick if you're still in there. Leave us a like. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. It's absolutely free. Our website is genredpod.com. Our email is genredpod@gmail.com. Send us a message if you have any comments or suggestions or thoughts or things you would like to see us do on the show in the future. I know I'm really opening myself up to some sickos out there, but I did it anyway. We really appreciate y'all watching. We appreciate all of you who have downloaded this podcast and listened to it. Until next time, I'm Ken, he's Scott. Together we are Generation Red, and we are here to chronicle Nebraska's inevitable return to college football greatness. Our next live stream is 7 p.m. next Tuesday. It'll be our recap of Rutgers and preview of, what is it, Indiana after that, I think?
No, you got ahead of yourself. It'll be our recap of Purdue and our preview of Rutgers.
That's it. Don't mind me.
I'm already thinking ahead. He's already thinking W's and
that's right.
Back-to-back wins.
That's right. I love doing this. This is fun. Here's hoping next week will be a little bit more fun podcast. And until then, folks, there is no place like Nebraska.
And Iowa's corn sucks more than Brett. Bye, Lima's BMI.
I think we can leave it at that. Well done, sir. Well done. We'll see y'all later. Go Big Red.